I just wanted to make this quick video of an art book that I own. I've had this book for maybe a year and a half, maybe a little bit longer, but it is one of my favorite art books. So I'd like to share it with everybody. It's by Jochen Garner. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing his name right. This is a French book. I won't even attempt to pronounce the title. The text inside is all in French. It doesn't matter too much because there's not a lot of body text in the book. And this project is very self-explanatory, very straightforward. So all you really need to do is get into the pictures. When you open up the book, there's this lovely end paper in it. The quality, the printing of this book is excellent. The layout, the design, the paper stock that's used, the printing itself is just really great. And that makes for a good art book. I own hundreds of art books, and you'd be surprised how many have just terrible layouts, cheap paper, full bleeds, so this book is just lovely on its own. For how it was laid out. What this artist has done is he has created a long-term project of drawing these wonderfully designed graphic birds. And every page to me is just a delight to look at. There's a kind of energy and vibrancy to everything. All these illustrations are done in colored pen and markers. And he has done them all on these wide-ruled notebook papers or sometimes mathematical graph paper. And there's something just really interesting about having the lines of the paper kind of intersect with his own designs. And on a lot of birds, you can see how the lines of the paper actually helped him kind of design the birds, like where certain points meet up. It's very interesting to see how he solves the problem of forming the birds, what patterns are going to be for the wing, for the breast, for the head, and kind of making the distinctive segments of the birds. And, some of these papers have red lines, some of them have green lines, some of them are graph paper, but it makes for a very exciting image. If the birds themselves were on, let's say, just plain white paper, they'd still be nifty, they'd still be cool and neat. But having them on this kind of old-fashioned, school paper kind of gives you the nostalgia of being a child yourself when you used to doodle in school, like when you were bored or you were sketching and you didn't want to do an assignment on your paper, you wanted to draw on your paper. So there's something very the concept elevates the drawings of the birds themselves. I really find there's also this nostalgia, this reminds me of the Partridge Family, the opening, the Come On Get Happy song with all the little animated partridges marching in a row. So I just find the book to be very pleasurable. Look at the marvelous design of this bird's body. It's very exciting to see how he constructs each bird, makes each bird individualistic. And there's some design elements that he throws in for added interest. Some of the birds have things in their mouth, like there's a bird with a rainbow in its mouth at one point. Sometimes there's sticks and twigs. Oh, here it is right on the next page. The rainbow in the mouth. Here's some little dots or pebbles. What's also funny is in the book, a lot of the birds have these peg legs, these stick legs, but on just as many birds, he puts like human boots on them or gives them like human legs. So I find that kind of funny. It adds a little bit of extra whimsy to what you're looking at. I think, now see, this is exciting to me. This is a notebook paper that has both red and blue lines, and they just intersect his own design. And the body of this bird is just, this rich cross-hatching of color. But to have the paper, come through into what he's doing with his marker lines is pretty exciting. And also, given that it's, ink pens or marker, you can kind of still see his strokes. You can see the hand in the pictures. So there's always like an immediacy and a vibrancy and a dynamism to it. I find like the birds have a lot of energy to the drawings, even though they are kind of flat and graphic. And flipping through the book, I just get so excited looking at the interconnecting sections of the bird and what design he chose to fill each section, how they're integrated and kind of make this image. I think of quilts, I think of tiles, I think of, kids' toys like Spyro Gyra. I think of like the old graphics of the Space Invaders video game, like Atari graphics. And of course you see also things like this and all kinds of really special graphic illustration from the 1950s. There's also something too about the layout. See, when I was talking about the layout, this is wonderful that they allowed each notebook page just to be there, framed up, surrounded by white. That shows it off in the best possible manner, rather than have it go to the edge of the page. So, it's framed in white, it's clean, and since there's a bird on each page, you get to play with, here's the birds facing one another. On another page, they might be facing the same direction, or sometimes their bodies complement one another. So I really enjoy this layout. And here, this is marvelous. See, in the book, there is a few birds that he's gone really abstract with. And I find that is like a nice surprise within the book when you get a few of these birds that don't have real shapes. Look at that. Look how fantastic that looks. It's pretty amazing. And, look at just the design. Like, see, the wing is this kind of upside down orange rind, then you have this crosshatch, and then you have this sweeping up, and you have the simple triangular shapes of the beaks. But each bird winds up being completely different, completely unique. And you can go through the book, and I find it very soothing and meditative. There's 200 birds in here, and you can find a bird that you really like. You like the colors, you like the design, you just like it. And then you go 5 or 6 pages later and you go, oh, this bird is even cooler. So I like to compare just the different designs. I like when he puts these elements in, these little things, these little extra things, just to give it, a little bit more variety in the images. Look at that. It's just a great, great book. Here's another one that's a little bit more abstract. As you can see at the bottom of the page, he's got the names of the birds, which I assume are the real names of the birds. So that's kind of fun too. There's also a great history of natural illustration. Documenting things like coral or fish or insects or flowers. nature illustration. And some of it is very elaborate and very real looking, but you can find just as many kinds of illustrations that are graphic. So I find this also appealing in that way. A nice green line paper. Let's see on the other side. See, this actually has like graph on it. Again, the human boots. Actually, if you go along, there's 200 illustrations in here, and what's funny is you get to the end of the book. Let's see, 190 something. Here we go. On page 193, he's almost at the end of the book, and it's the first time he puts kind of real webbed feet or actual bird feet on the bird. So I find that funny that it took him so long to say, "Oh, I can do it this way too." too. This one's marvelous. Look at that. I'd love to have a sweater with these kinds of patterns in it. Yeah, I just think this is marvelous. Now, I got this from a bookshop online that I stumbled across, 50 Watts Books, and they just deal with a lot of unique art books from around the world. And in fact, I got another book from them. It's just all, it's a Japanese artist that did all these prints of caterpillars, and that book's just great also. So I might do a video on that. I just think this is just very pleasurable, very soothing, very meditative to look at, very absorbing. And I think when you find something like this, contemporary, something that just leaps out at you, I just had to scoop up this book. I really did. So that's the book by Jochen Garner, this beautiful bird book. And that's it. Thank you.